So, your parts for this are going to be in this little storage box, which is going to be handy to have afterwards so I can use it to store stuff in. It's got your bolts, it's got your tie downs, it's even got the drill bit that you're going to need to drill it into the ground, because these are going to be the size of your bolts, because you'll have 4 bolts in the ground for each one. And basically, when you're looking at this is going to go up your pole, this will go into the ground, then you'll slide this down to cover this on your pole, so you won't even see those in the ground there. So it's kind of neat, covers it up. And this will be how big around your posts are. So we got them separated. Over here is the 4 beams. This is how big around they'll be, how tall it'll be. These 4 here are my sides for the top, and all the rest of these are going to be your louvers for the top that you will hook into this, and then you'll have this here piece will be attached, and you'll just crank this like that, and it'll open and close your louvers. So you can adjust the angle of the sun, and it won't be so hot. Okay, first thing we're doing is you're sliding your cover up your legs. You might wonder why I'm wearing gloves. We're working and it's extremely hot, and these are so hot you can't really touch them. So I gotta wear gloves. So I slide these up, then you're taking these pieces, they go on the outside like this, and they will just pop on. Then you're going to need 8 of these in each one, all the way around. You're putting them in. That gets your legs ready to stand up, and then later we're going to use that drill bit I showed you. You're going to drill these in, and this is actually going to go into the concrete to hold this from ever blowing over. It's rated for, I believe, 50-mile-an-hour winds. If you see where we got ours in the back of the house, it's actually going to be protected, so it'll be even more than that. So the goal is to make sure you anchor this in the ground. So once you get it in the ground, you start putting these in, you're not going to be able to move it unless you take the anchors back out, and then you have to do the whole process over. So one suggestion I got is do not torque these all the way down until you're done, because this thing tends to want to flip back and forth. So what I did was put them all in a little bit, then I can go back around and tighten them up. I found if you try tightening them up one side at a time, then it wants to pivot and you have a hard time getting the screws in. So put them all in a little bit like that, then go back through and tighten them down. So we're putting on this piece first. This is one that's actually going to have your crank that adjusts your louvers. This is A1, just A1 or B1, excuse me, B1, B2, 2 C pieces. It's going to ask you for B1. Ours is not marked. It's the one here with this. So you can figure out beforehand where you want that crank. We're putting ours on this end. So when you're putting it in on these 2 cross beams here, it'll be on these 2. It's going to ask for 2 different kind of bolts. Top bolts will be like this. The bottom bolts will be like this. You notice they're a little bit different heads, so pay attention when you're putting them in. U goes at the top, U1 goes at the bottom. You have just enough, so you want to make sure you use the right amount. For me, I'm using a drill with a, well, it's actually a impact with an attachment, so make it easier. This is a B1. I'm getting ready to put the 2 U's in the top and the 2 U2s on the bottom. I'll do the same thing down on the other side. You notice the other side's a little slightly lifted because that's where it has the crank. So be careful, do not damage your crank. Right now, we're doing the same thing that we did with B1 with B2 on the opposite side. That's B1, this is B2. When you get your U's in and your U1s and you tighten them down, then you're going to stand it up and you're going to put your C's in just like this. They'll slide right down in here. You're going to need 2 people because somebody's going to have to hold it upright, and while you're putting them in, because it's going to be, I mean, it's not completely impossible, but it's a lot easier with 2 people. So if it's windy, you're not going to be able to do it. You look over here, we got this side leaning on the wall. The reason being, this is the other side. I'm going to have her hold this while I screw these in. Then we're going to try to lift this up and click it into that and screw it into place. Then once that's done, you'll do the same thing with the other side, but it won't be as difficult because something will be holding it together. So what I did was I got all the C's together, CC, B1, B2, your A pieces. I've only got the top 2 bolts in the C's. That way I can adjust this as I need it. twist it, do the bottom bolts. You just loosen the top ones back up. Right now I do have them tight, the U-bolts. The U-ones are not in until we get it where we want. Because once we got it where we want, I have to drill the holes in the ground, mount it to the ground, then I go back up and finish tweaking this. See, this is going to be the size of it. It's not quite square. That's why we don't put the bolts tight yet. So when you're putting this together, you'll use your U-bolts to tighten it down till you get it where you want it. Because your U1 bolts, you're not going to be able to use a drill. You're going to have to use the actual tool because you've got about this much room to maneuver, and you won't be able to get your drill bit in there. So the top ones will get it where you need it to be, so you don't need to make any adjustments, and then you're going to have to manually hand put in the other ones and use this tool. What I'm doing now, I'm making sure these are plumb. You want it in between the two lines on your level to make sure that this is straight up and down. And then we're measuring it to make sure that they're the same distance away from the wall. In this case, I'm going 17 inches to the end of the post. I have this one already plumbed. I just plumbed that one. And this has to go back just a hair. Not too far. When you do that, you're going to have to check your plumbing. Is the rod. So that we need this piece. This is going to go in here. And it just locks into position like that. That way, when you're not using it, you can take this rod out like that and just store it somewhere so it doesn't get all rusty. And so what you're going to do here, you're going to take this screw out, slide this up into that, run the screw through it. It'll be for these two pieces for the next one, and they are L and K. They're actually going to be bolted up here. You'll have to remove the screw here and here to get these two pieces out. They're going to take 2 Q bolts in these 2 screw holes, and they will go into the only D that you have, which is over here. You'll see it's a little bit different from all the rest of them. The rest are D1 because it has these brackets on it. If you look at the regular D1s, they do not have those brackets. So these have to be on here. You line up with these screw holes like this, and then you do this one on the other side. So now we're installing this one. There'll be 2 P1s, 2 T1s, and then there's these pins. You're going to need 4 of these pins and these 2 of each, and they're going to go right in here. After you have that piece put on, we showed you the screw on, you put 1 in each one, same thing down on that side, and then you run this pin through to hold it in place. You want to get 1 K2, 1 K1, 1 D1. Then you're going to come over here, you're going to put a K2 and a K1 on each end, 4 R screws, 2 on each one. Put those on there like that, and you're going to do that for every one of these D1s. So all of these will be the exact same as what I'm just showing you. They'll all have a K2 and a K1 screwed to them. And then when you're done, we're going to start installing them. There's the slides on, and then 2 R's in each one. So what we're going to start doing is we're going to start installing these as we're doing them, rather than pile them up. So you're going to need M1 and M2. You're going to have 2 sets like this. This is the M1. That's the bottom. M2 will be your top. M1 is what it's going to go in first, and the M2 will hold it in place. So you're going to install the M1s on the top of your Pergola. It has spots marked. So what I've done, I've taken my M1s right here, put them on the inside. There's actually holes for them that will line up with these. Put 1 on each side. I installed this. I went a little out of order so that they wouldn't come apart. I put the M2 on top and screwed it down. So now this piece is going to have to attach right there. So you just take this screw out using the tool they gave you, or whatever you have. You'll put this on there. It's made to fit exactly. and then you put that screw back in it. And then that way when you use this thing will move automatically with it. Now back that out, put this on and tighten this back down. What you may have to do while you're doing it is move this to make sure your screw lines up perfectly. Get it on there just a little bit and use that bolt to draw it in. You see it's working now. When you adjust this, your louvers also adjust with it. That's what you want. So the way these are going to attach, you're going to put that big end here towards the back side, and it is going to overlap the last one. This piece here is going to go up inside of this on the reverse one. Like the last one, this piece will go in here. This one will go on the back side like that of this. That's what interlocks them. So that once this one's hooked up, they're all connected together basically as one piece. So when you rotate that, they'll all move. If you don't interlock them like that, it's not going to work. So this piece, this back piece, is going to go over the front piece of that. So it's going to take a little finagling. What I did was angle mine up, pull it up, and go back. It's going, once you get it in, it's in place. It's just, it's going to be a matter of just angling it at the right direction and letting it drop. So what we're doing is the M1s and M2s. We went ahead and broke loose all the M1s and went ahead and installed those to save time, because we're going to have to do that for every one. If you look, for both sides are done. You will have 2 extra, or you should have 2 extra. Now we're doing the same thing with the M2s, so we have them ready, because now once you get all these end pieces on, it's just a matter of a repeated process of putting them on, screwing it down, putting them on, screwing it down the rest of the way till you're done. Now we have all the louvers in. If you try to use your lever, you're going to notice that they don't move. That's because this is the last piece you got to put on. This is going to attach all your louvers together. So you'll go up on the outside of those, and I'll show you after I put mine on. They kind of lock in. Your louvers will go through here, and then you use these last of your pins to latch this on so it doesn't come back off. Pins.
So here's the pins.
Yeah, those are the pins.
Okay.
I used needle nose to put them on. So as you're going to install these up here on the top, there are going to be little, each one of these panels has a round spot on it. You can't really see it from here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see that. Yeah. Each one of these holes, that rod is going to go across these. Right here. Here, it's going to go in every one of those holes. And that last bag of screws that you have with the big head on it, that looks like this, is going to go in those holes. That's going to hold that on along with this cotter pin. That cotter pin, which will go up there in the front. And that's what will hold that on. The 2 pieces and mounting them. So now when you put this in and you twist it, you'll see that your Pergola opens and closes to adjust your shade how you want it. Piece here is removable. It's not meant to be left in there all the time because it can get blown around, and you just adjust it as you need it and then just remove it when you're done with it. Open it, close it however you want, and just take it out, put it somewhere else. That way it doesn't rust or get caught and blow around or damage your housing. These are your mounts. So what are these going to do? You're going to take this bit right here. You're going to drill into the ground once you know you got where it's at. You're going to take a hammer, tap them down in there, and then take a wrench and tighten them. And that's going to keep your Pergola from moving in the winds. So what I'm going to use for that bit down there is this. This is a masonry drill, which is made for drilling into concrete. So see, we got our masonry drill with the bit in it. We've drilled out 3 of the holes, all 4 of the holes really. We put 3 of the bolts in. You're just going to put it like this. You're going to knock it in with your hammer, then you're going to tighten it down with a ratchet, wrench, whatever you have. And after you do that to all 4, then you're done. My suggestion is we started with the one back here in the corner, and then we came this way. I angle mine. I don't go side to side. I angle across, Just like when you're putting on a tire, do a star pattern. It makes it more secure that way. And when you're done, your pergola is done.
So it took us 6 to 8 hours to assemble this. The instructions are very clear as long as you follow them and make sure you double check everything as you're doing it. But it took about 6 to 8 hours. The main part we had is you have to have 2 people because you need someone to hold this. Because as you assemble the side, someone has to tip it up while someone else inserts the cross beam right here. And once that's done, you could do it with 1 person if you want, but it's easier with 2. But like I said, it's a really solid piece and we really like it.